Hello everybody, welcome back to Newegg TV. I'm Steve, and today joining us once again is Nick from Asus. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing great still. How are you?
Awesome. Glad that you're still doing well. Yeah. That's awesome. I didn't for you to start out with, no, I feel horrible. Anyway, this actually looks like a power line adapter, but I already know for a fact that it's not. Do you want to explain to our audience what this actually is, Nick?
Sure. It does plug into a wall since it does have the wall plug, right? But it is a range extender, so or some people will call them a repeater.
Nice.
So essentially what it does is you'd place it maybe almost to the point where the signal starts dropping off, so that it'll pick up that signal and then broadcast it even further out. So maybe certain spots of your house or basement or backyard, you want some extra coverage, you'd kind of place it halfway there maybe.
So essentially it's just filling in the holes for your network right now. As
Correct.
Everybody has that, right? Especially if you mess around with wireless a lot, you're always going to have that one hole you just can't quite get filled for your wireless coverage, and this is going to do it for you.
Yeah, so this is called our RP N53 is the model name on this one, and as you're modeling so well right now, we can see that on the front here we have a panel. You can't really tell by just looking at it, but the bottom half of this panel will actually be a touch panel. So this unit actually comes with a nightlight on the bottom end. We can actually maybe even see the lit up nightlight on this other unit that's right here. On the bottom end, you'll see the nightlight. So, we can see it lit up a little bit and on and off. There we go.
It actually doesn't take very much. It's not a physical button. It's almost like those touch faucets. Where you just barely tap it and touch lights.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll keep it on, I believe, for now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And some of the other features that you'll see on the side here, you can see that there is an Ethernet point. So this does have the ability to go to act as an access point. So you can go ahead and change it into access point mode rather than a repeater or range extender. And then right below it is a 3.5mm audio jack. So what this allows you to do will actually stream music from either an Asus AI Player app that's available for Android, or you can use, it's also AirPlay compatible with Mac devices, whether you're on a tablet or phone or on one of their desktops using iTunes. This will actually identify itself within iTunes as an AirPlay compatible device and give you the option to stream whatever you're playing out to this range extender.
Perfect. I actually also noticed just a couple buttons here on the side.
So on the other side we have our typical kind of little reset button that you find on routers and some other devices, an on and off switch, and then a WPS button. So when you're first setting this up, if you don't want to mess around with passwords to get it connected to your router, of course, you can click the WPS button on this, click the WPS button on your router, and if all works right, they should find each other and pair together automatically.
Perfect. Then of course at the very front, you do have some LED indicators, it looks like here. On the left here, it looks like 2.4 gigahertz and probably the signal strength.
Exactly. Right. So what we see here is in the middle we have a power. The power is going to be just the very middle light, and then on the left side, like you said, will be the 2.4 gigahertz signal, and the strength of that signal has 3 little separate bars, and then exact opposite wise for 5 gigahertz, you have the same thing on this side. So when we go through and set it up in just a moment, we'll see once we connect to the 5 gigahertz band, that should fill up, and then when we connect to the 2.4 gigahertz band, that side will fill up as well. Okay,
and then this, to round it all off, obviously the plug on the back, which you guys noticed right away at the very beginning.
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
So you want to check this out and try to set it up real quick?
Let's take a look.
Let's see how easy it'll be to set this up. So we have a laptop here. We're outputting to this monitor. And we're going to pull up the wireless networks here. We do see the Asus RP N53 here. We see both 5 gigahertz and one not labeled 5 gigahertz, so that's the 2.4 gigahertz. So let's go ahead and connect to one of them. And by default, it will be open, so you'll be able to connect, and it will automatically do an HTTP redirect. So as you can see, I connected to it. I didn't have to do any CD setup. I didn't have to enter any addresses. It just popped me up with the admin page. So let's go ahead and create a password. We're going to use admin to keep it super simple and very weak. This will let you know if you're setting a weak or a strong password, of course. So more characters, letters, numbers, the better, of course.
Right, alphanumeric always better, and not the most common.
Exactly. So this next step, it's going to pull up all the wireless networks in the area, because of course what you want to do with this is connect it back to your router, so you can take your wireless router's signal and then repeat it or extend that even further.
Right.
So what we have here is a list of all those wireless networks that it found. We do have the Asus router that we set up earlier today. the RT AC56U. So we'll find the 5 gigahertz channel for that. Let's put in our security key, which was test 1234.
I should mention too, if you want to see more about that particular router, there should be a link below in the description where you guys can actually see what we did earlier with that router.
Exactly. So once we've put in our settings for the 5 gigahertz, since this is a dual band repeater, it's actually going to ask us, hey, do you want to select another wireless network frequency? So we've already selected the 5 gigahertz. Do you want to select a 2.4 gigahertz? So this is going to be a backup. If there's any issues with the connection on 5 gigahertz or 2.4 gigahertz, it'll be able to default back to the other one to keep your network up and running.
Right. So redundancy always good.
So let's go ahead and do that. We'll select the 2.4 gigahertz one from the Asus router that we set up earlier. And we'll go ahead and do connect. So here you can go ahead and name what the repeaters is going to broadcast out as a name. So by default, it's actually going to take the original name and add repeater and repeater 5G to it to let you know, hey, this is the repeater 5 gigahertz signal. This is the repeater's 2.4 gigahertz signal.
No matter what it was called, as you can see, it actually says Asus 5G as a reminder of what router we're using because it's 5G capable, but in this case, it's just adding the repeater. RPT is actually all it's adding to the SSD. So, SSID, excuse me.
Yeah, so let's just go in and just call it RP N53, and then maybe we'll call this one RP N53 5 gigahertz.
Oh, missed the under.
Like that, and we'll go and click next. So here, as it's making the connections, if we can get a little shot maybe of this little unit right here that's powered, we should start to see, if we can even, with the lights here, the blue signal bars at the bottom will start filling out
as it gets a connection.
And you'll get full bars on both. So okay, so since we've actually changed the name of the repeater, and we were connected to the repeater previously, let's go ahead and reconnect to the repeater. So there's our RP N53 and our RP N53 5 gigahertz. So let's go ahead and connect to it. We used the same security keys as before. We didn't change those settings at all. So let's go ahead and connect to it. And then once we do here,
I'm guessing we click next.
This page, we'll go ahead and click next, and it should finish our setup process here. And then here we can see that the blue lights have populated on this unit, showing you that the signal strength is all the way full. So we can see that it is blue. There we go. Add a little shadow to it. So we have full
bright in here.
Full range, or full signal. So
it's now connected to both.
So it's now connected. It has the connection to the 5 gigahertz band of the router, to the 2.4. The configuration is essentially finished. It'll show you, hey, this is what it looks like if it's disconnected. A weak signal, it'll be all the way full. Good signal, you'll be all the way full.
Nice. Okay.
Go ahead and click on finish. It'll ask you, hey, do you want to add this into your bookmark if you want to access the settings page again? If not, it's just going to be repeater.asus.com.
Okay. Perfect.
Simple. Let's deny that, and let's go ahead and log back in, and here we can see what it looks like when we log in to configure the unit.
Looks very similar to the other router that we worked on earlier. Yeah.
We keep the very same design elements. Once someone's comfortable with the Asus networking product, they're going to see very, very similar menus and setup systems, and it'll all be very familiar.
Okay.
So just like on the routers, we have a 2.4 and 5 gigahertz settings. You can swap between the two, change names, change passwords. And then one of the cool things that I wanted to go ahead and show. So here's what we talked about earlier, where you can go into access point mode if you want to go ahead and go Ethernet in straight into the unit and then broadcast out from there. And then the very cool thing that we'll go ahead and finish this demo with is the audio portion. So audio-wise, it does come pre-built with some internet radio stations. Of course, what we mentioned earlier, that it's AirPlay compatible, and then we also have our own app. We can go ahead and stream music from our own app or from our own phone or tablet straight through to the repeater. And if you have multiple repeaters, the app will actually, it's currently in beta, but the app will actually be able to stream music to multiple rooms if you have if you have the repeater in multiple rooms or multiple repeaters.
Okay, so the same thing, not different ones for each room, just the same channel, whatever it is I'm listening to, being streamed out to each room that has a repeater.
Exactly.
So, great.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
let's take a look. Let's try and do it.
Let's go ahead and take a look at that then. Yeah.
I'm jumping all over your words.
So what I brought here, just as an example, of course you can use any 3.5mm output. You can output it to a big stereo system. This is just for the purposes of the demo. I'm going to go ahead and just set up a little speaker here.
Show you guys that.
And we're going to connect into the 3.5mm jack. Part 2 that we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and set this up over here in this direction.
Show the actual app.
And if we can make sure we don't have any glare.
Looks good.
There we go. So I'll go ahead and, so of course the first thing you want to do is make sure, if you're using this app, that you're connected to the same Wi-Fi network. You can be connected directly to the repeater, or you can be connected to the router. Either one, it'll end up finding the repeater.
Perfect.
So let's go ahead and open that.
Very colorful.
Yeah. So here we can see the first menu here. So we can see that we have options for multi-room audio. You have a repeater manager where you can go in. If you have multiple repeaters, you can give a name to each one. So you can say, hey, this is the baby's room, this is the patio, or this is the backyard, and so on. So let's go ahead and try to play some music. Okay, so here, after we clicked on play, we can see that we can select, hey, where's the music that we want to play? In this case, we're just going to use my phone here, so we're going to click on audio on this device.
It also showed all the other devices on the network, I noticed, too.
Yeah, so it'll automatically pick up any of their devices, and you can go through those libraries and play whatever's on those libraries.
Great.
Of course, so we picked my phone, whatever music might be on here, so let's go ahead and click on album. We'll just go ahead and open up, it looks to be Justin Timberlake. Let's go ahead and tap on a song here. And then the very last step will ask you, hey, where do you want to output this? So previously I'd set up, just as an example, I'd used this, or named this the backyard. So let's just assume it's in the backyard. I wanted to get some music out there, create a little ambiance for my barbecue over the weekend. And we can go ahead and select it. And once we do, it'll start outputting out that jack and over to this little speaker that we have set up.
And instantaneously, too. There wasn't any, amount of time it took for it to do that. It was instant. So
yeah.
No buffering, nothing.
So that's a cool feature, too. Of course, there's some other cool stuff that you can kind of dig a little bit further in. If you go into, I think, administration here, you have some touch panel settings, so you can actually go and say, hey, I want the touch panel to affect maybe muting or unmuting the audio, or backlight, or maybe 5 gigahertz light, or system light on and off. So maybe you want to turn all the lights on and off, or off at nighttime, and maybe just you want to have that nightlight setting, but you also want to be able to turn it all the way off.
Are they mutually exclusive? Can I pick certain ones, or can I pick them all? I mean,
they're going to be, you can pick them all, but it's basically going to turn them all on or all off
every time you hit that button.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like I can cycle through it or something like that.
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense. I think probably the unmute mute's probably the one that makes the most sense beyond the light. So
correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, that will pretty much do it for this RP N53.
Oh, well, hey, awesome. Nick, thank you again for stopping in. Appreciate all your important things you talked to us about, including playing a little JT for everybody out there. I'm sure everybody enjoyed that. Sorry, guys, it wasn't mine. Anyways, if you liked the video, go ahead and click the like button. If you haven't already done so, click subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.